Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
It is indeed time for the Get Right. We're Reg and KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula.
Yo.
My man, Alec Med for holding it down for here. And you turn it on, leave it on station. Joined by Mike Peasley as we wrap up
Rangers extra innings.
Yeah, Rangers extra innings here on 105 through The Fan. Unfortunately, the good guys go down in the third game of this three-game series, 6-5 in disappointing fashion in New York as the Rangers have the day off tomorrow as they continue their dogfight in the AL West. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Atatula if you want to get at us on Twitter. We're with you until midnight tonight here on your home of the Cowboys and Texas Rangers as we bring in Mike Peasley here. Again, the Rangers fall 6-5 tonight to the New York Mets. Unfortunately, Pease, when you look at this game tonight, a game that will be defined by missed opportunities. The bases loaded not once, not twice, but 3 times top of the 10th for the good guys, and we're not able to push a single run across in that decisive 10th inning. This game will be defined, as I mentioned, by missed opportunities tonight.
That's what it was. You go to the 6th inning, you're down 3-1. You get, they're struggling with their control. They walk in a run. You still got the bases loaded, 1 out. Mitch Garver, who has been just great here in the month of August. He strikes out. Then Jonah Heim, 3-2 pitch. He strikes out looking, so you're unable to tack on runs there. 8th inning, they had the bases loaded, nobody out. Unfortunately, they were able to get something out of that after Garver grounded into the 1-2-3 double play. Jonah Heim came up big, but the 10th inning and extra innings, when you get the bases loaded and nobody out, as the road team, you're thinking more than 1 run. You're thinking, okay, can we score 2? You get the bases loaded and nobody out, and you come away with 0. It is impending doom. The baseball gods do not allow you to escape that, and they didn't here today. And, Jonah Heim hits the line drive right at the shortstop. If he hits it a little higher, it's a 2-run single, and who knows how many runs the Rangers score. Unfortunately, he didn't. Then, Jankowski grounds into that unusual 3-2-4 double play, and we also listen to what happened in the bottom of the 10th inning with the Aroldis Chapman, who just did not have control or command.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about the offense and the lack of hitting with runners in scoring position, but obviously the kind of tried and true refrain of this season has been talking about the bullpen, and I feel like it's kind of a two-sided coin in this where you have to give a little praise to Martin Perez and the way that he came out of the pen, gave you 3 solid innings and, put up zeros on the board. But again, it's kind of the ones that you look at where Leclerc has the blown save and Aroldis Chapman, some of the guys in the bullpen. What is there left to say about this bullpen, Pease?
There's nothing left to say. It is what it is, and we'll see what happens with the waiver period tomorrow. Does Reynaldo Lopez get as far to the Rangers? Does he clear that far down? I doubt it. So what you are going to have is what we have right now, and what you have is a bunch of guys that you cannot trust. And for Jose Leclerc, he had such a great month of August too. He had given up 2 hits the entire month in 8 2/3 innings, and tonight, the Mets got to him. There's no perfection in baseball, and it was just really bad timing because you had all the momentum in the world after the Heim 2-run single. Leclerc comes in, gives up the base hit, then after the strikeout, he grooves a fastball to DJ Stewart, and DJ Stewart's got 8 home runs now in his last 13 games, and he made the Rangers pay, and you feel for Bruce Bochy. He went with the hot hand in the 8th inning. You could have gone to Spores there in that spot, but no, Leclerc had earned it. He had given up, as I said, 8 2/3 innings, no runs, 2 hits the entire month, and he didn't get it done here tonight, and that's just It's a tough pill to swallow. It really is, and it's been the big problem for this team the entire season. And in the month of September, it probably won't change much.
Now, you mentioned the waiver, wire, and it's something I've been thinking about where if you could find a silver lining in losing this game, which,
right.
It's sad that you have to be in this place, is that you now are ahead of the Astros and Mariners in that waiver wire transaction. And, of course, the bad teams in this are not going to be looking to go to the waiver wire. It's the teams that are trying to contend for something. So maybe, just maybe, and I know you talk about right now, Lopez, you've got these guys that the Angels released. There's some other guys around the league. Maybe, just maybe, you're able to add one of those, but I'm almost concerned at the idea of, you mentioned it, it's kind of a jackpot for Bruce Bochy when he turns to his pen of who do I go to here? There's not really a tried and true. Just adding another one of those, say you get lucky and Nat Moore falls to you or something like that. Does that even help? Does that give adding another, tool in there that could maybe work and not work in any given situation?
I think it would help. Matt Moore pitched so extremely well for the Rangers last year, and Rangers wanted to bring him back this year. They just couldn't agree, on the financial terms. But again, I just don't know if any of those guys will get to the Rangers just because there's so many teams in the National League in that wild card race that will be ahead of the Rangers in terms of priority order that could use guys like that as well. So I just don't think those guys are going to get down to where the Rangers are, because the Rangers entered tonight, I think, with the 6th best record. But as you said, both Seattle and Houston now moved past them. So
currently, I believe 7th best record. So,
so
not a lot of work done there, right?
No. But yeah, tomorrow's going to be a very interesting day just to see where all of these players land. And, that wasn't on my bingo card yesterday with the Angels dropping
nobody had that
everybody that they had just acquired at the trade deadline. Lucas Giolito in there as well will be interesting. I think he could end up with the Reds. I think it'd be a good pickup for them. But for this Rangers team, it's going to really have to be in-house. Rosters will expand on Friday. They will be able to add 2 more additional players, one being a pitcher. You can only add one. The other has to be a position player. Matt Bush just got promoted up to AAA. Could be a potential option. But it's going to be up to the guys that they've had here for the first 5 months of the season to somehow pick it up. Now, Will Smith has been better. After the struggles that he had, he threw the ball well here today. But Aroldis Chapman has not been very good here of late, guys. I think he has now given up runs in 4 of his last 5 appearances. That's a big-time problem. Big-time problem.
Especially when it's like high-leverage guys on base that, seems to be.
Which is when you're going to use him.
Right.
And how erratic it has looked for him at times.
And that was the problem, Kevin, he had with Kansas City, was his control. His command was a big issue with the Royals, and we did not see that for the first, 4 to 6 weeks since he was here. Starting to see it a little bit right now, and you wonder if fatigue is starting to come into play with him.
The current AL West standings as it is now, with all of tonight's games having concluded for the Mariners, Astros, and Rangers. The Seattle Mariners at 76-57 with a .571 win percentage. The Houston Astros at 77-58 at a .570 win percentage. And the Texas Rangers at 75-58 sit a full game behind both of these teams. You look at the last 10 for each of these 3 teams. Mariners 8-2 in their last 10. Astros have won 5 straight, 7-3 in their last 10. Rangers 3-7 in their last 10. So 2 teams going in the right direction, good guys going in the wrong direction at this time, where they're looking up now at both the Mariners and Astros after tonight's action.
And remember, you can always text in and get your opinion heard here on Rangers Extra Innings on 105 through the Fan. The number is 877-881-1053. And Peas, we can take this one of a couple of ways. We can talk about, what gets them out of that, seeming tailspin of the last little bit. Or we can maybe attack this text from the 817. Why does this team not bunt? Obviously, you had the bases loaded a few times. People are, there's some folks that are talking about maybe sweet squeeze bunts in there. Which one of those is more appealing to you in this moment?
The whole bunting thing, it depends upon who is up at the plate. You've got Mitch Garver up. He's not going to be bunting. He's not a bunter. And again, he's got an OPS of over 1,000. He's got like 8 home runs this month. So you're not going to be bunting with him. But in terms of what can turn this around, the offense has to pick it up. That's the thing that has been really struggling. And the offense that was clicking so much early in the season when they were scoring 10-plus runs seemingly every other day, that really hid the problems that you have from your pitching staff, specifically your bullpen. Now, the Rangers coming back home for a big 9-game homestand. They get the Twins. They'll miss the Twins' top 2 pitchers. They won't have to face Pablo Lopez or John Gray in that series, so they're seeing their 3, 4, and 5 starters. They need to get Ezekiel Duran back on track. And Zeke has been such a better hitter at home, especially in the power department. They need to get him going once again. In the middle of the order, if they get him going, if he starts to get hot, he can carry a ball club. And again, did not have a good road trip, really did not have a good month of August. But Friday is a new month, and if he has a big month of September, Rangers have a big chance to get themselves the division crown. I really think that he is the biggest key for the Rangers in the month of September.
Does that give us an opportunity to just stop and reflect? Because I know KG, we were talking about it during the network post game, the idea of just how much this team is missing Josh Young.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. I don't think we realized at the time how valuable he was in that number 5 hole. where he just plugged into that number 5 spot and was just a guy that was, Gold Glove third base, hitting 20-plus bombs, driving and runs.
I'm still amazed at the defensive prowess.
Yes, he was terrific over there at third base. And again, it doesn't sound like he's going to be able to return until maybe the last week of the regular season. So you're still going to have another 3.5 weeks without him. But yeah, make no mistake about it. You take that guy out of your lineup, and it has been a huge loss. And the same for Jonah Heim, too. Both of those guys went down. Those were your 5 and 6 hole hitters, and you take those 2 guys out. Now, Jonah's starting to show some signs of coming around here the last couple of games, so that's a good sign. But, man, they have missed those 2 guys desperately in the middle of that lineup because what once was a very deep lineup, not as deep without those 2 guys in it.
Obviously, with the offensive struggles that we've seen at times throughout the course of these last 13 games, where this team is now 3-10 in those last 13 games, a stat to kind of crystallize what we've talked about with the bullpen a little bit. This is coming from Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News. 6 blown saves in 9 games on the road trip by 5 different pitchers. So it's not like one dude is out here blowing it all up every time they step on the mound. They're spreading the wealth, if you will, around when it comes to this bullpen and the way that they found creative ways to lose ball games at this point.
And they're back to 50% now in save opportunities after the blown save by Leclerc. They're now 26 for 52. They had saved 2 in a row, and that streak ended here today.
Well, look, and this goes to the larger context of talking about this team in the idea of being a true World Series contender. Mm-hmm. You cannot be 50% and consider yourself a true World Series contender because you talk about high leverage situations when you get to the playoffs, living and dying on every pitch when you get to the postseason, and the lack of confidence that I think a lot of folks have right now in this bullpen. Unfortunately, that was confirmed once again tonight by their inability to be able to handle themselves in high leverage and late inning situations. And that stat kind of crystallizes what we've seen in terms of those struggles.
And guys, if you have seen in the postseason, it's a race to get into the bullpen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Starters will probably go 2 times through the order, and then it's bam, you're going into the bullpen because oftentimes other teams will use, their 3, 4, or their 4 and 5 starters as bullpen pieces as well. I would imagine that that's what the Rangers would do with a guy, say, like Andrew Heaney. I'm very intrigued once Eovaldi gets back of what Andrew Heaney would look like coming out of the bullpen. But, yeah, the way that this bullpen is situated right now, you look ahead to October, if the Rangers are fortunate enough to get to October, you're going to be very, very nervous because they just don't have that shutdown guy. It's been a problem all season, and they've got a month to try to get things back on track, to try to get themselves into the playoffs. And, again, there's some work to be done to get themselves into the playoffs right now because Blue Jays only 2.5 back. And again, the Rangers, middle of the month, they've got a 4-game series at the Rogers Center in Toronto. So you got 4 games against the Blue Jays. You've got 3 against the Astros, and you've got 7 coming up against the Mariners. Mm-hmm. So let's see, that's 14 of the 29 games are against teams that you're fighting with to get in the playoffs.
And along those lines, I believe there's 4 series remaining in this season between the 3 teams atop the AL West, or I guess now the 2 teams and the Rangers atop the AL West. So this is going to be, if this wasn't so anxiety inducing, this is going to be a really fun end to the end of the season.
As I said last night, this was after a Rangers win. To kind of embrace this because every win is going to be exhilarating. Every loss is going to be excruciating. And that's what we have gone through here. The exhilarating wins, Jonah Heim, the big 2-out, 2-run single, and now you've got the, excruciating loss with Stewart hitting the game-tying home run and then the walk-off hit by pitch. So embrace it. Embrace it. Because this is what pennant race baseball is all about on a night-in, night-out basis. Depending on how the game goes, it's how you're going to feel. You're going to feel on top of the world or bottom of the earth.
Mike, appreciate the time as always, sir, on this Wednesday night. Rangers got the day off tomorrow. The next time they take the diamond, it'll be the month of September. Let's see what the Rangers can do as they get ready for a 3-game series starting with Minnesota on Friday night. Peace, appreciate the time. Thank you, sir.
Always great talking baseball with you guys. Thanks.
Coming up next here on the Get Right with Reggie KG here on 105.3 The Fan. Did the Cowboys, did any of their cuts have you in your feelings? Next on the Get Right.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
studios secured by DFWsecurity.com. It's time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Hour number one of the Get Right. We're Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula.
It's 10 o'clock at night.
AM on the FM, otherwise known as Alec on the radio on Twitter. Alec Medford holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station 105.3 The Fan. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. The text line 877-881-1053. 877-881-1053. Which Cowboys cuts had you in your feelings? We'll have that conversation here in just a moment on your home of the Cowboys. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Atatula if you want to get at us on Elon's X these days. We're with you until midnight tonight. It's been a while since you and I have been in the same space together, has it not?
That's fair. We knew it was going to be a while because I remember the last show that we did in the parking lot. It was like
I'll see you later.
It was very much a farewell. I thought we was never going to see each other again.
Well, never mind.
All right. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. The idea being like when we do this show together and then we have long stretches when we don't do it, it's not like we don't talk because Reg knows I'll call him on a moment's notice.
He sure will.
But don't say it so disappointingly like,
wow, that was not disappointing.
Here you go, Kev calling me again, damn it.
Well, this is the funny thing because we will talk about Cowboys.
We will.
Please believe. But if there is something sporting happening and I see something happen, I'm just waiting for the phone.
You waiting for my phone call.
And then the phone buzzes and you know, how do I answer the phone, Kevin?
It depends.
It depends on what just happened.
It depends on what just happened. Like if it's something for the Mavericks, hey, I know you saw this. I know you saw this. Or it'll be like, hey man, what the hell's happening here?
Right, that's right.
What's going on here? Yeah, it just depends on what's happening.
The conversation has already started once the phone opens.
It already has,
yeah,
exactly.
Right.
We're in mid-conversation.
That's right.
When we pick up the phone. That's kind of how like a lot of people and a lot of Cowboys fans felt yesterday as cuts started to happen.
Oof.
Because once we started cutting down the roster to 53 men, the Cowboys getting their practice squad together today, there were a couple of cuts, Medford, that I think people had themselves in their feelings a little bit. And to me, I just found it a little weird because, for example, Isaiah Land played really well for the Cowboys. Did he not, Medford? Good preseason.
Oh, yeah.
Good training camp.
Really athletic guy.
Good preseason. Good training camp.
Don't point at me.
Oh, you weren't paying attention.
Look, brother, Florida A&M, stand up, right? Shout out to the Rattlers.
Baller. Yeah,
right? Shout out to an HBCU
That's right.
baller. There's a long legacy of great HBCU players in the NFL and all that. Preseason football. Buddy,
that wasn't it
you
for
want me to watch intently in the trenches? You asking a lot right now, buddy.
But he played well, and he was released by the Cowboys, and he was picked up by the Indianapolis Colts.
People were like, man, we was hoping and praying to get him back on the practice squad.
They were wanting him back on the practice squad.
That's right.
And I get it for good reason. Young player, good development piece that you could see being a part of this defensive line and linebacker core for maybe some years to come down the road. But hey, man, you've got a lot of good football players, right? And I just found the conversation around Isaiah Land to be just a little odd today because when has a practice squad player ever got that many people charged up about the idea you were going to miss him? Because as much as I would have loved to keep Isaiah Land around here, I'm not going to get that charged up about missing him around here because, oh, that's right, you got a lot of depth on the defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys that I think you can feel good about right now.
Sure. However, when it comes to the defensive ends, oh, yeah, I forgot. Junior Fihoko still on the roster.
By the way, a little surprised that Junior Fihoko made the roster because for me, not necessarily Flash. Maybe I missed it. Did I miss a moment or two?
Apparently, I did too. I don't know.
I guess we missed it.
But again, I've already established intently watching in the preseason was not necessarily my bag.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite conversation is, and when I say that, I mean my incredibly least favorite, is 53-man cut down. That being said, though.
And by the way, he was part of this draft class, so I guess he would make the roster.
There you go.
Usually not going to cut
There
down.
is a lot of depth. However, I think there is a particular point that you look at when it comes to the pass rushers and the defensive ends in that way. Dante Fowler Jr., shout out to that man, number 56.
Mm-hmm.
I say all of this with all due respect. That is a man that is over his football hill. Right? He is not getting better at football at this point.
I would say he's on the backside of his career.
I'm glad that we can establish that.
I would say that.
How good did you think he was last year?
He was very okay.
Aggressively fine is what you're going with.
Aggressively
Okay,
fine,
fantastic.
yes, very okay.
Isaiah Land, to the people that I trust in these things and who are absolutely paying attention to the trenches. Isaiah Land has the ability to play good football and has potential. Right?
A lot of upside there.
A lot of upside there. So I think for some of the people, I can't speak for all of them. In fact, I probably shouldn't speak for any of them. But I believe for some of the people, the idea is, hey, look, you've got a dude who can work into this rotation that has upside, and you're deciding to then forego that for a guy who is not necessarily, he's not a starter. I don't know if he's your second on either side when it comes to defensive end. And a guy who I do not think you are looking at any level of upside, and particularly in Dante Fowler Jr. And so, like, you look at the pass rushing, and you could easily have 5-6 guys in that pass rush room that all can do the job at a high level and have upside. I think that's the hope. And maybe that probably just points to the idea that the Cowboys roster's in a great place, that these are the nits that we are picking. But I think that's where people were coming from.
Yeah, and I would agree with that based off of the depth that they have on this defensive line. You look at the depth chart and what they've got put together here with DeMarcus Lawrence and Sam Williams, obviously with Jonathan Hankins and Mozzie Smith in the middle. You got Osa Odighizuwa, Neville Gallimore, who was able to make this roster once again. You still got Dorrance Armstrong and the aforementioned, Dante Fowler Jr. You look at the linebacker room, Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark. It looks like obviously Devin Harper is going to be one of your other linebackers as well with Demarion Overshown.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. Can I press pause on your conversation right there? Because this is, I don't know if it was in my feelings, but I was already looking in this space. I was watching this space earlier, as you can attest to, because multiple times where we had conversations with our friends who cover the Cowboys, I was like, hey, man, this Jabril Cox thing, what's happening?
Yeah.
And apparently what was happening is, see ya.
You asked Skywalker specifically about that when we had them in studio.
Absolutely, because this is the thing.
Yeah.
It radiated from the team and the decisions that they did not have him in their plans, which, I mean, look, he was a dude that you drafted that clearly has some talent, but I can understand, okay, he's a dude who plays more coverage. You need dudes who can get into the gaps, attack the run and things of that nature and play solid. Okay, cool. Now you end up in this place where I'm looking at the linebackers, and there are 3 linebackers, maybe 4 if you do not want to consider Micah Parsons a rush end, even though he absolutely is a rush end.
Well, you're better than me because I got 2 in a possible. That's where I'm at. I got 2 in a possible.
I was trying to be nice.
We only got 2 hours, so might as well go all the way in.
All right, 2 in a possible. Leighton Vander Esch is a starting caliber linebacker in this league. Damone Clark is a starting caliber linebacker in this league.
Cool.
Shout out to Devin Harper. You're doing a great job on special teams. We love you, brother.
That's my possible right there.
And so, like, you leave yourself no room for anything. And look, maybe you just go, the standard is the standard, and if you do not meet the standard, then it can't be that. But then the question becomes, there's not even really room for rotation. And I understand they gave Marquise Bell the call, and they were like, hey, dog, you don't play some linebacker too. You feel solid enough on that one? You feel good on that one?
No.
Okay. And Marquise Bell has played well, by the way. Every time I've seen him on the field, I've been like, yep.
Yeah, and
either fine or, hey, that was good.
Yeah, that's no discredit to him as a football player, but you look and you started to detail and lay it out, the depth of the linebacker room. How bad did it have to be for Jabril Cox for them to look at their linebacker room and the lack of depth that they have in it, and they still looked at my guys like, yeah, man, we're going to have to go in a different direction here. So that just gives you, if you're a Cowboys fan and someone who watches and, enjoys this team, a little bit of trepidation about going into week 1 about the confidence, because you mentioned it. There is no room for error from an injury standpoint when it comes to the depth of this linebacker room. So, and that's a lot to ask, that you're trying to, bank on the idea. And what we love.
No. Knock on, is there any wood in here? Can we knock on something?
I don't see no wood in here.
I mean, I'm not typically the dude who knocks on wood, but I feel like there's people listening everywhere that's, have that level of superstition. So I'm trying to hold it down for y'all because I know what he's about to say.
We're trying to bank on the idea. We love him. But damn it, we're trying to bank on the idea of Leighton Vander Esch staying healthy for 16 games, or 17 games at this point.
Please address all of your hate mail to Kevin Gray Jr.
That's if you a Cowboys fan and someone's paid attention to this team for as long as you have, what I'm talking about is a very real possibility. Tyron Smith.
Oh wow!
Like, come on, man, we don't have to play this game no more. Tyron Smith hasn't played a full season since 2015. Leighton Vander Esch can be injury prone at times.
Man, you need to calm down. You're talking about that's the starting left tackle of these Dallas Cowboys.
And I'm not telling a damn lie. Tell me when I'm telling lies, Medford. Mr. Punk, tell me when I'm telling lies. Never. Thank you. So, again, if you're a Cowboy fan, you may feel like, okay, who's this who we're going to ride with? But that's a lot to ask for in this linebacker room right now.
And there's something to be understood is that, look, man, you look around and in this league, there's a roster limit, and that happens intentionally, right? You're not going to be able to fill this thing up with an abundance of backups everywhere. That being said, hey, Tyler Biadasz doesn't have one right now. I mean, let's go. And they brought him back. He's on the practice squad. It seems like they might do that 3 up, 3 down type thing. That's not even the right way of saying that, but they have the opportunity if you have someone on your practice squad to suit up in the game day squad for 3 games while on that practice squad. And I know that they brought in TJ Bass, who is a rookie that has a possibility of center. But, hey, just looking at the offensive line in general, Chuma Edoga, Asim Richards, TJ Bass are the ones that are on the roster as of right now. How you feeling, KG? How's that make you feel?
Not great.
Okay.
But based on what you have available to you, I mean, this is what you're going to have to ride with. I mean, good for TJ Bass for making this roster, by the way, 53-man roster.
Did I get that wrong? Well, Let's Go's on IR. Farniok is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bass made the 53-man. So, I mean, happy for him. Richards as well were able to play themselves onto this roster throughout the course of the preseason. But you mentioned we go to the practice squad. Brock Hoffman, Sean Harlow, who they brought in as well, are your 2 centers.
There we go. Thank you.
Behind Tyler Biadasz at this point.
Give me right.
This is what you have at this point. That's right, 254. Somebody pays attention to professional wrestling. That's right. So this is what this team is going to ride with. If you feel like there was some upside with Land, Jabril Cox, who some Cowboys fans still haven't, wanting to give up on, but he has been claimed by the Washington Commanders, so he will not be a part of this team anymore, as Washington has picked him up at this point.
Were there any names that were on the roster that you were surprised by? We already talked about Junior Fihoko again.
And I have to backtrack on that just a little bit because he was part of your 2023 draft class.
Sure,
so
absolutely.
You're not going to necessarily
I'm like, obviously, all the dudes are on. Again, I want to step back and say, this is a good roster, right? That is the understanding with which we have all of these conversations. That being said, you have a fullback on the Dallas Cowboys again. What's happening, everybody? How y'all feel?
Okay, so
shout out to Hunter Lepke.
I didn't understand why people got charged up about the idea that Hunter Lepke wasn't going to be around here. If you had paid attention, they gave this man $200,000 when he got here as an undrafted free agent signing here, and they gave him a guaranteed $200,000.
You got to open your third eyes because they knew that they needed a North Dakota State brother for when they brought Trey Lance. You got to open your third eye.
I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
They was laying groundwork, KG.
I see what you're doing there. But yeah, he wasn't going anywhere. And if you pay attention to Mike McCarthy teams in the past, Mike McCarthy loves himself a fullback.
He sure does.
Okay, and Hunter Lepke, especially in the final preseason game against the Raiders, played well.
He acquitted himself well. He
played
did.
well, and I thought deserved a roster spot on this team. So between what you have in your running back room with Lepke now being added to it, happy for Deuce Vaughn, obviously. But yeah, Lepke wasn't going around here, man. I knew that with this. Yeah, we gave him $200,000 guarantees, an undrafted free agent. Yeah, he's going to be here. So again, a lot of different things for Mike McCarthy to play with on the offense. One thing, and look, man, I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care what you say about it. I'm glad Kelvin Joseph out of here. Been off that narcotic. Ready to get him out of here. And the fact that they were able to turn him into a
Noah Igbonagane, who is a Nigerian. So you know what's happening.
That's gonna be
we going up, baby.
I say
Nigerian quarterbacks
all
back,
season
baby.
Long. Say it one more time for the people.
Noah Igbonagane. It's not. I done failed. However, please know,
brother ain't been here for 30 seconds.
My brother is Igbo. I am Yoruba. I am doing my best.
Okay.
Igbinogene. I believe that's close.
What's his first name? Noah?
Noah, that's right.
What's his last name start with?
I know you Noah I.
That's it.
And this is the thing.
Mr. I is what I'm going to call. That's it right there, Mr. I.
I don't want to prophesy this into his future, but seeing how Noah has played in the past, there's a possibility that y'all not just going to call him nothing but the Mark. But
Damn.
Yeah, I know how y'all treat cornerbacks around here. It's happened. I know what.
Speaking of our phone calls, that's something that we talk about all the time. When we watch the game together, hey, who the Mark today? Who the Mark? Mr. I gonna be the Mark? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I'm saying that that's a possibility. You did get him for Kelvin Joseph. Just remember that.
The fact that they turned that player into something good for Will McClay in this franchise.
Well,
because yikes.
Yeah.
I was ready to get him out the paint anyway.
Y'all be nice to my boy Noah, okay?
Mr. I, what's I like to call him? From the 972. We can laugh at it now. It doesn't matter. Kevin, you didn't like Boss Man Fat's mixtapes?
I don't think I listened to him.
I didn't.
Y'all don't protect y'all peace?
Because definitely mine was protected by not listening to any of that.
I listened.
How'd you find it?
I didn't enjoy myself particularly, but yeah.
Was there any?
How long was it?
Any redeeming qualities in there?
Oh, I made it through like 3 songs. I don't even remember how long.
3 songs?
Yeah. I just had to.
Were there any redeeming qualities? Was there anything where you're like, okay, well, that's nice?
I mean, there were some decent beats.
Okay.
But of course, he didn't produce them.
So no?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
All right.
I regret life choices, KG.
How long did you listen to that?
What was that? Probably like 9 minutes.
So that's 9 minutes you'll never be able to get back.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing? Man, you were just...
He not here no more. Those are the cuts that were in your feelings there for the Cowboys. On here on 105 through the Fan. Good for you for doing the Lord's work and listening to any of that for the 9 minutes that you did. Because I wasn't going to do any of that.
From the 817, is Hunter Lepke the next John Kuhn? I don't know.
Yep.
What are the fans gonna say? Like what's the chant? What's the chant for Lepke?
We'll have to think about that.
Because the fans love them a fullback.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Lepke, something like that. I don't know.
Text in if you got something.
Coming up next here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. Mark Cuban got on Patrick Beverley's podcast and threw these individuals, we think, under the bus. Next on the Get Right.
By texting 64000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Real Success. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at our Real Success.
Sponsored by HHSC.
Back here on the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula.
Pray for Kevin. His mind is elsewhere right now.
Alec Medford, appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. The text line, 877-881-1053. Mark Cuban was out here wilding apparently on the Patrick Beverly podcast.
When is he not?
What he had to say about how the Mavericks played or didn't play, not Kyrie or Luka's fault. We'll get into that here in just a moment.
And even if it was, it's not.
That's right. We are watching in the DFWsecurity.com studios here the U.S. Open.
That's right.
Taking place, of course, an annual tradition late in the summer as we get ready to turn the calendar from August to September. And we're watching Caroline Wozniacki, who's coming back and playing in the second round of the U.S. Open. And we see in her box, her family box there.
You got a little uncomfortable there.
I did it.
Yeah.
You felt that?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. David Lee, former Golden State Warrior, David Lee.
He was there for the first ring, right?
Did he catch a ring with Golden State? I can't remember.
Yeah. He's a good one when you start getting into these immaculate grid situations. Anyway, that's not what we were talking about. You were saying?
Yeah, former New York Knick, David Lee as well. And Reg had made a particular comment about, he got the 15 ring. He sure did. He did?
Yeah, he was on that first one.
He stuck around long enough to get that one?
I think that's before they got him out of there for was Bogut in the first one?
Bogut was there,
okay.
Andrew Bogut.
They got him out of here for someone. Was it Zaza? Was one of them.
That's an interesting study to figure out who was on that original championship Warriors team.
I mean,
because
I can figure that out pretty quickly.
Because Harrison Barnes got one. It was Harrison Barnes.
Did he only get one? I thought
Did he get one or two? I know he got at least one of them. Because they were like, hey, Kevin Durant, we want you instead. Never forget that. But yeah, I think David Lee, Andrew Bogut, Harrison Barnes was on that squad.
Justin Holiday was on that team.
No, he wasn't.
That was his rookie year or second year.
He was on that team.
Harry B was on. Festus Ezeli. That was a fun name.
Hey,
remember?
That's right.
Brandon Rush was on that team.
Oh, man.
Oh, you remember Sean Livingston was still on that team? Sean Livingston. This was like the return of him after the gruesome knee injury and everything, and he was a viable part of that team. And then, of course, one of my favorites. You can't forget this. Mo Spates.
Oh, Mo Spates was on that team, huh?
Yes, he was.
A long time ago.
Leandro Barbosa as well. Anyways, we're supposed to be talking about something. Yeah.
But Reg had made a particular comment about the suit that Caroline Wozniacki was wearing. And obviously, how to
skin tight bodysuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it made me think U.S. Open suits 2003. I think you weren't even born yet, Medford.
Hey.
The point being, it made me think of two words. Actually, four. Serena Williams, catsuit.
That's right.
Yeah. Medford, you were like in diapers or something at that point.
I know what Google is, KG.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Have you done that particular Google that one time?
Yeah, I've done my research.
Were you okay after that?
Debatable.
What an odd question.
I'm saying. I don't know.
Were you okay after that?
Like did you, never mind. Anyway. Let's get to Mark Cuban. That's a great way to get to that. Let's go to Mark Cuban, who was on the Patrick Beverly podcast. Do we know who his partner is on that show?
Does it matter?
I just want to know because he seemed like a random guy that just
I'll
just happened to be there.
I'll find out. We're real disrespectful with Rone.
Who?
Rone?
You thought I was being disrespectful?
Rone? I don't know I'm reading it. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Okay, good for you. You figure that out. But Cuba's on the Patrick Beverly podcast, and listen to what he had to say describing how the Mavericks finished out last year and why it necessarily wasn't Luka and Kyrie's fault. Take a listen here.
You made that trade.
Why?
The fit. I didn't know if it was going to fit.
Yeah.
Them together, they both.
Well, a lot of people don't think it, so when you look at last year, we had issues that had nothing to do with Kyrie or Luka playing together. When they played together, I was just reading something. They're like 900 possessions that they played together, and they were 60% net effective field goal rate plus 4-point whatever, top 5 combo in the league when they played together, just between injuries and everything. And we just didn't have a team that was committed to the roles, right? If Like the year before when we went to the Western Conference Finals.
Y'all was locked the in, boy.
For sure, right?
You could tell. Yeah.
Everybody knew their role. Everybody just played their role perfectly.
Yeah.
This past year, that wasn't the case. And it wasn't Kyrie or Luka. They knew their roles, right? But once other guys start playing for themselves or not playing for the team, every mistake that you can possibly have is just magnified to no end. So we made some changes, a lot of changes this year on and off the court. And
I like what y'all did.
Do I need to go ahead and pull up the 2022-23 roster? Do I need to do that real quick?
For the Dallas Mavericks?
I got you. Don't even worry about it.
Okay. So we're
going to do some investigative journalism right quick.
So let's just put it out there. 877-881-1053.
Who y'all think?
Who do y'all think Mark Cuban was talking about? Because he clearly absolved Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. They're
clearly
good.
Not their fault.
They're good here.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think?
Dave Burt.
Who do you think Mark Cuban was talking about? Let's go around the room. Medford, as Reg runs down the other roster, who do you think he was talking about?
Oh, man. You know what? I would love to think it's Dwight Powell, but they're best friends. They probably have breakfast together every other morning.
Dwight Powell is the most upstanding citizen on that roster.
He's going to be president of this organization one day. Just know that.
He might be president of the United States. Actually, he can't be. He's Canadian.
He's Canadian.
I was going to think of a troll name, but it's Christian Wood. It's Christian Wood.
That's one. I can think of another.
That's a terrific candidate.
That's a great way to take that one off the board. Good answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
The other answer, and the one that came to my mind first, because, I mean, Christian Wood just seemed too easy.
Poster child for this.
He's still on the roster, so I don't know how loud I should say this. Hello, Mr. Tim Hardaway Jr.
Oh no!
When we talk about playing a role, and maybe wanting a role that other than the one that is suggested for you or dictated to you, that man like getting up shots. I'm just gonna say that.
Tim Hardaway Jr. has never taken a shot that he didn't like. From the 702, Tim Hardaway. From the 972, JaVale McGee.
Ooh,
JaVale McGee!
Yeah, I'm gonna miss saying it. Well, I'm just gonna keep saying it. From the 702, Reggie Bullock?
Oh wow! Now I feel like we're playing Name a Maverick because
it's a fun game.
You know, here the MO on Bullock was he's gonna be cold as ice from late October to
December
to January, about early January. And then
it starts warming through December.
Yeah, it starts to get a little warm in December. It's odd how he got warmer as it gets colder, but whatever. And then by the time you flip the calendar to the next year, he's good to go, shooting threes.
Any chance that Spencer Dinwiddie's involved here?
No,
because he's talking about after. That's
fair.
I found. Look, first of all, let me ask you this: how do you buy into his premise that, like, look, man, guys just didn't fit into their roles, and that was the issue? Because if it's that simple, that's an easy fix that you look out for this season and you go, okay, the trajectory of this team goes a certain way where you go, this will go fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Guys' roles are clearly defined, it appears, based on what they've done to this roster this upcoming year. I mean, for me, the obvious answer here in a lot of ways is Christian Wood. And again, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, he has become the poster child for what was, in a lot of ways, defensive dysfunction for this team a year ago. And don't get me wrong, Christian Wood was a big part of that. But there were a lot of guys that missed a lot of assignments, and defensively, they were not good enough last year to compete. And by the time you made the trade for Kyrie Irving for the last 20-some-odd games of last year, there were guys scrambling, trying to figure out how to play with two ball-dominant individuals and what those roles look like, and defining that on the fly. And then you get to the end of the year, they go ahead and, you know, do the mini tank, which they almost blew that, and find a way to keep their top 10 protected pick. But for Cuban, I think he boiled it down to a little bit more simpler terms than I think what the situation lended itself for, given what was going on last year. Because I think this team is much more capable of understanding what's expected of them, and there is weight that has been removed from this team that should give these guys a much clearer picture on what they're being asked to do, how they're being asked to do it, and the consistency at which they need to deliver it with each game, night in and night out. And that starts obviously with Luka and Kyrie, Grant Williams now coming in as a veteran who's been there, done that in playoff situations, and the hopeful upward growth of Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, among others, that will allow this team to feel a little bit better about what they can do night in and night out.
All right, so I'm interested. I mean, it seems like you do buy in somewhat to what Mark Cuban is saying there. And what it seems to me is that there is a wide berth of where this team can go this year. ESPN, about a week ago, put out some of their predictions for this upcoming season. And a couple of the questions that they had, one was team turnaround, which teams are poised to make a major move. Now, one of the teams is a team that you're very fond of for this upcoming season, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yes.
Easy to see why. A lot of young talent, a lot of really good players, and a team that has cohesion and so, in continuity. So it should be able to come together in a really big way, in addition to having an all-NBA player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 2 on that voting is the Dallas Mavericks. So, clearly, a team that is poised to make a major move upwards. The Mavericks, you point to that, talking about the lack of cohesion that was able to be achieved on the fly, but when you talk about the 2 stars that you have, and then also building a better team around what those guys are with more clearly defined roles. Immediately after that is a question about team turmoil. Who are the teams for whom, it could get dramatic, whether it's, wins, losses, those types of things, like who has the opportunity of, maybe falling apart. Number 1, Philadelphia 76ers. Do I need to explain?
Nope.
Number 2, Portland Trailblazers. Again, do I need to explain? Number 3, the Dallas Mavericks, right? So even from a national perspective of people that vote on these things, people that watch these things, that's a wide perspective of different ways that this can go. Where do you see this going, KG? What would you bet in that wide range of the whole thing falls apart or this thing turns around and majestically, considering what they've done and considering maybe this perspective of clearly defined roles or the lack of accepting clear roles being some of the downfall, and now maybe that changing. Where does that fall for you?
Do they have any write-up on that? Just curious.
They don't.
Okay.
And I would really be interested in hearing what the thoughts are. However, yeah, they were pretty closely. I mean, obviously the Sixers ran away with that first place votes when it comes to the team that was going to be dysfunctional, but Mavericks 3rd.
You know where my mind goes with that, honestly? It goes to the head coach and Jason Kidd. Because if you cannot make it work with two top 15 scorers in this league, with a much better roster constructed to be able to play a little bit better defense akin to what you want your team to play it at, and it still doesn't work, now I got to look at Jason Kidd with some side eye, because you got away with it year 1 by getting this team to play above a lot of their heads to get into the Western Conference Final the way that they did. Last year, you took a step back. You tried to resurrect it by getting Kyrie Irving. Still trying to figure that out going into this year. If you go into this year with a full training camp, full 82-game season, and you still are not a top 6 team in the West based on the talent that you have on this roster, especially your starting 5, I got to look at Jason Kidd with some real questions about, are you really the guy to lead this team next year beyond this upcoming season when it comes to Luka and Kyrie? Because I don't know if that would be the case in my mind. To me, that's where my mind goes when I hear that.
Yeah, I just found that so fascinating because obviously, I think a lot of what people look at as the possibility of dysfunction starts with Kyrie Irving. And I think that might be outsized in this year. The idea that he would be some level of dysfunctional.
I think year 1, full year 1, he's going to be okay.
I think he's going to be great for this team.
Yeah.
I do kind of buy in that, whether the roles work or whether, maybe not even buying into the roles, but whether you have established roles that will work together properly. When you also consider the idea, and this is something that is beating a dead horse, that what should be kind of a centerpiece of your overhaul was not really overhauled. And of course, there's still time to maybe make that trade. But you talk about, hey, now you have given the coach the things that he needs. The coach has harped on playing defense and probably playing defense in a particular style. You have 2 negative defenders on the perimeter, and that means that you need to have a backstop, and that backstop currently doesn't exist at center. And so I do wonder if that kind of falls apart in the ways that, hey, we're better, but again, there's still a way to eat us on the inside. And if there's that structural foundational piece isn't there, if that ends up making this shaky and ultimately gets it to a point where it falls apart. I feel like that's a stretch a little bit of the worst case scenario. So I do think that it falls somewhere in the middle of those 2 things, leaning closer to the high end, because again, in the NBA, when you have a top 15, top 10 player, that establishes a floor for you that is just so high that I think that the Mavericks should be fine and be around in that place where we were talking about them at worst in kind of that play-in conversation.
Mark Cuban's appearance on the Patrick Beverly podcast. Take a listen to it. You might find some enlightening pieces of information there, but I just found that particular statement from him to be
From Roan?
Hmm?
From Roan?
Is that the guy's name?
That's what I'm going with.
All right, good for you.
Yep.
Hi, Ruben. He's texting you on the text line there.
What's happening, Ruben?
What's happening, Ruben? You hear your best friend says hello.
Are y'all best friends?
Yeah, I'd consider us. I'll see you tomorrow at Fat Daddy's in Mansfield for the final round of Fan Phenom.
Ooh, we should talk about that, shouldn't we?
Okay, we'll have to talk about that on the other side of the break. And also go inside the gray area where this happened in the state of Mississippi that you will not believe.
What?
Next on the Get Right.
What's up, Tolos? This is Bobby Belt for State of the Art Weight Loss, here to tell you about the wonderful team.
2022 Cowboys NFL season with the Houston Texans and the Philadelphia Eagles from weeks 14 and 16.
Yeah, your boy messed up a little bit.
No, that's all right. Looking forward to it at the top of the hour here on 105 through the fan. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Attitude, at Alec on the radio. If you want to get at us on Twitter. Let's not belabor the time any further. Let's go inside the gray area here. We're with you until midnight tonight. Shout out to all 92,003 individuals who showed up tonight in Lincoln, Nebraska, and watched the Nebraska volleyball team take on Omaha in what was the largest crowd ever for a women's sporting event. The 5-time national champion Nebraska Cornhuskers volleyball team hosted Omaha tonight and won in front of over 92,000 people inside their football stadium.
That's a really cool thing to say. All them people in the upper deck, they ain't seen no volleyball.
No, probably
ain't seen
not.
no volleyball. Like, come on. Like, I get it as a note, as a thing to accomplish.
Pretty damn cool thing to accomplish.
Cool. Like, as a functional way to watch sports. That sounds abysmal. That sounds so bad. Like, even if you're in like the lower bowl, you realize how far you are away from that volleyball game still?
Yeah,
and the tough thing about it is like it wasn't like they centered up the volleyball court in the middle of the stadium. The volleyball court was kind of towards one end zone.
Yeah.
What happens if you're on a far end zone on the upper? Like, you're not seeing no volleyball,
I can't
man.
see nothing. Can you pass me the binoculars, please?
You're not seeing no volleyball, man. You was just there to kick it. Which, you know what? I appreciate you kicking
maybe
it.
that's what it was. You were there to kick it.
Thanks for kicking it on behalf of women's sports. There's nothing there. It needs more people being kind to women's sports.
By the way, I can't wait till tomorrow's show because it's our final show before the college football season officially begins.
That's right.
On Saturday. Ooh, boy, I know you're going to be in your entire bag tomorrow.
There's going to be college football on during the show. I believe Utah and Florida are playing.
Oh, that's right, because Cam Rising's not playing, apparently, for Utah. That's not great.
Yeah, the TVs will be on football. Please understand.
Woo! Just wake me up Saturday morning, though. Colorado, TCU. Woo! From the 5-3-0. Keep in mind, Nebraska doesn't have any pro teams. What are you talking about?
I guess the fact that people pulled up.
No, I mean, you're right in the most technical sense. But they've treated Nebraska, football like their professional team forever.
Unfortunately, Nebraska football don't treat themselves like a professional team.
Shout out to Tom Osborne.
That was a long time ago, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. You're making my point.
Mm-hmm.
Medford, we were detailing Mark Cuban's comments about the Dallas Mavericks and how they finished last year. Reg apparently didn't have the opportunity to hear this piece of audio.
Yeah, you thought I was listening to the Patrick Beverly podcast?
Well, maybe not.
Who's his co-host?
Roan.
Correct. Where
do you have a better pronunciation on his name? Okay.
No.
I thought you was trying to joke on me.
I just wanted to hear it again.
Okay, no problem. Just know I will crack back if you get a little. Don't get too comfortable.
Look, you good? You good?
I don't know.
I know it's a little later than usual. You all right? Okay, just checking on you. Patrick Beverly had a very interesting question about the humans versus business when it comes to NBA basketball, and here is how Mark Cuban chose to respond.
Does that factor in how much you give someone?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Because it's a team, right? And so if a guy smokes too much, right? No lie, I've traded guys because he smoked too much. Because it's like, so teams get their own culture, right? And if you got some young dudes on there that are just figuring out, smoke some, but don't know what the team culture is, right? Or the NBA culture is. And you got one dude that's just, you walk down the hall in the hotel and he's on that floor and there's no doubt about it. And then all of a sudden these other kids start picking up on it. And that's kind of, you see them coming out of their room. You see them, a little bit red-eyed coming to practice all of a sudden. You don't want them going down that road. I mean, everybody smokes, right? It's not about that. But there's smoking, there's how powerful the doing is, and then there's how much you do. And if you cross, if you get past that level where, and there's a chance where you might drag somebody with you, you got to look at the bigger picture, right? That's just not the culture.
So let me ask you an important question, gentlemen.
Okay.
How much
did Messi do this again?
Did he score again?
Did he did this again? No, he didn't. Okay, they didn't score. Okay, cool. I was about to say. I just looked up at the TV. I saw 0-0, and then I saw Messi, and I was like, are they about to do this again? Sorry, anyways.
So let me ask you, gentlemen, how much weed you got to smoke to get traded from an NBA team?
You know, but the funny thing is, sorry. Okay, sorry. Thinking about that anomalous amount. No, the funny thing about it is I think what he's talking about, he probably didn't do a good job of explaining himself, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit, right? Really what he's talking about is not necessarily about the amount, even though he did kind of put in those phrases. Mm-hmm. He show up to work. Because like ultimately that's what this is about.
Can you be functional?
Look, man, what did we find out in the Last Dance documentary? Right? We found out that the Michael Jordan flu game was not really the flu. Like he had food poisoning. And even then that kind of felt like a nice
little embellishment.
Yeah, embellishment. Because there was a long time, there was a lot of people that looked up and was like, hey, that man was turned. That man had drinks, right? And the thing about it is, can you show up to work and can you be a professional, right? No matter what your vices are, we are paying you for the can you be a professional part. If you can come in and do your job, for the most part, sports teams and honestly businesses will let that fly, right? Now I don't know how much I want to correlate the things there, like the professionalism with the smoking too much, because look, I'm not gonna pretend like I have not met people that it's like, hey, you might want to slow down, buddy. However,
that's weed.
Yeah, I also don't want to say that explicitly. So I don't know, man. Like maybe look, he is on the team for a while, and having NBA money and NBA time, right? He probably has seen somebody who was on the wrong end of that professionalism, smoking dichotomy, or whatever. I just find that to be a fascinating way to frame it.
I love everybody from the 972, from the 214, shouting out Josh Howard.
Is that the name that everybody kind of thinks it is?
That's the name. Yes, that's everybody's coming up with. From the 469, I wonder who he cut from the team for smoking too much weed. Laugh out loud. They got to know.
That's right. Answer 972.
You know,
my man is professional.
Hey,
I'm not putting him out there though.
Good job. But yeah, that was some of the viral audio going around about how Mark Cuban's out here. Look, man, you can smoke, just don't be smoking too much. But again, I just want to know a number. Like somebody put a number to it for me. Like how much weed you got to smoke to find yourself getting traded or cut from an NBA team?
All of it.
Yeah,
just all of it.
Enough to catch a
the
trafficking
arbitrary
charge.
number, just all of it.
All of it.
Okay.
Enough to catch a trafficking charge. That's how much.
Leave that right there where it is. As we continue inside the gray area here, where of course there is no gray area. Real quick, the headline goes like this, gentlemen. Alligator hunters set a record for catching, check this out, a 14-foot, 800-pound behemoth in Mississippi.
Is it weird that the 14-foot long wasn't the part that scared me, was the 800-pound?
That's the part that got you?
Yeah.
The 800-pound part got you? Not the fact that it's, 14 feet long?
I guess I always think of, you said gator, right?
That's right.
All right. I was like, was it gator or crocodile? I never remember which one is which.
Swamp Kings. How about that?
I always think of them as like particularly long creatures. And I mean, 14 feet is very long when it comes to
look at this,
the creature.
Look at that.
And I guess
abnormal.
Look, they all look
By
pretty.
bad radio,
they all
so
look
you
small
can't see
at the distance that I would typically see them from. Let me just put it that way. But just knowing that thing weighs 800 pounds is kind of weird.
Okay, I've got a lot of questions for you gentlemen tonight. So, question: who wakes up in the morning? It's like, hey, goal for the day. Let's go get that 14-foot, 800-pound alligator today.
The people who get paid to get who get paid to corral such things.
Next question: how much would it take for you to go get a 14-foot, 800-pound alligator? How much money would it take for you to go do that?
I don't have the skills to complete that successfully.
How much would you want to get paid to try to do that?
Buddy, I can't spend money when I'm dead. What's wrong with you?
You got a number? How much money would it take for you to even try to get out there and go get you a 14-foot, 800-pound alligator?
I don't know, maybe like 20 grand.
That's it?
That's low. Yeah,
get these student loans out of the way, man.
That's getting all your
Come on,
student
man.
loans
I
out of
need
the
you
way?
to, pump up your standard.
Hold on. No. KG, you're missing the part. He only needs $20,000 to get rid of his student loans. You did something right.
I mean,
in this day
good
and
for
age,
you.
buddy. I don't know how
one.
you managed that.
But number two, damn, come on, man. That's it?
I mean, we
I
work
know
in,
DBI said everybody got a price, but damn, 20
we
grand.
work in
That's
radio. My standards are low.
Well, I'm gonna need you to, up that a little bit. Especially if you're gonna be mentoring that gentleman, whoever that is behind you.
This is also Alec. He works at our sister station.
What's happening, Alec?
What's happening, Alec?
It's Alex squared back here.
So we got 2 Alex now.
Yeah, allegedly.
All right.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I think the number would have to be something large enough, and I'd have to do the math later. Something large enough where I could then contract out the actual work. That's the way I would play this.
Enough money to get it. To be like,
Yeah.
hey, can you come?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you come do this? Okay.
I think that's the way that I play this. It's like, yeah, I'll definitely get that done. Just sign the check over, and then a portion of that check goes to the person who is actually doing the work.
From the 214, they usually grow 8 to 9 feet, so 14 feet is huge.
Oh, I'm not doubting that. Just my brain, that wasn't the part that jumped out to my brain. It was the part of it being 800 pounds.
That's kind of insane.
Hefty.
America. That's inside the gray area, of course, where there is no gray area here on the Get Right. From 682, everybody's going to pay. Oh, from the 469, only 50 grand. It would take 50 grand for them to get out there and try to go get a 14-foot, 800-pound alligator.
I don't know what skill, like maybe they got the skills where it's like this is a breeze, but then I guess even if it's a breeze, I feel like you should try and come up. I don't know.
I think I have the better deal.
Oh, okay. All right.
From the 817, the Mississippi part scared you? Okay.
Oh,
all
that's
right.
the part that got you?
Look, Mississippi's a scary place to a lot of people for various reasons.
I could have never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
Yep.
Coming up next, Reg continued his Cowboys rewatch of the 2022 NFL season. The Houston Texans and the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Cowboys. What did we learn from those games? Reg will tell us next on 105.3 The Fan.
Stay off the weed.
Your coach your kid's soccer team, do all the
Live on the free Odyssey app.
From our fan studio secured by DFWsecurity.com, it's time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Final hour of the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula.
Yep.
Alec Medford holding it down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. Reg continues his Cowboys rewatch of the 2022 NFL season with weeks 14 and 16, what we can learn from the Cowboys in those two games, as we are just a week and a half away from the Cowboys opening up the 2023 NFL season when they take on the New York Football Giants at MetLife Stadium to open up their season. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Attitude if you want to get at us on Twitter. A little AM on the FM coming up here in 18 minutes on 105.3 The Fan. Reg is going to be able to get the rest of his rewatch in before the beginning of this upcoming season. You feel like you're accomplished here. You were feeling a little less confident about your ability to get that done before the start of the
Oh, it's just
season.
a math proposition. I was just like, oh, do we have enough days? And we do. We have just enough days, thankfully.
So let's jump into it with weeks 14 and 16.
Yeah, last time I guess I got ahead of schedule because I was like, oh, okay, the Jacksonville game, that was week 14. It was not. It was week 15. I had skipped over the Texans game, which, you know what? Probably one that I think a lot of Cowboys fans probably want to skip over. That was not a good Houston Texans team coming in, but they had a trick up their sleeve, and that was really the major thing to talk about in this game.
This is the Jeff Driscoll, let's run him all over the place type of game.
That's
wasn't it?
right.
That's right.
Last year, it was Davis Mills was the quarterback, and it was like, all right, he is a aggressively okay quarterback, right? He is just long neck, throwing a football, being fine.
I love that, aggressively okay.
Aggressively fine, right? And so that was, they came into the game and, you started doing some stuff early. Dak early looked a little funny, but Cowboys came out with some misdirection. And they, cooked a very bad Texans defense 7-0. And so early on, it's like, all right, this is about to be a thing. Kevontae Turpin made a mistake, gave the Texans the ball. And hey, Jeff Driscoll's in the game. We're like, wait, hold on. Who's this? Why is he here? And immediately they took advantage of something that the Cowboys had demonstrated that they had a little bit of issues with, which is playing East and West and utilizing a lot of run. And that ended up giving the Cowboys a lot of issues throughout the entirety of the game. They just leaned on their best player, Dameon Pierce, and utilized the quarterback to change the math on the game so that you're not defending 10, you're defending 11. And that was really basically the whole game for the Texans.
They took a little bit of a page out of the playbook of the Chicago Bears because the Chicago Bears were able to use a really good rushing attack with Justin Fields, their stable of backs that they had to try and create pressure on the edges and in between the tackles running the football. Jeff Driscoll, an athletic quarterback, can do some of those things, not obviously to the degree of a Justin Fields, but the idea being let's get downhill on this team and create pressure on them running the football and see if we can keep them off balance throughout the course of the game. Basically, look, it's the equivalent of when your team don't have enough and your team's like, hey, let's play that 2-3 zone because we can't guard you. We'll just run the football on you with a little bit of trickeration because we know we can't necessarily score with you and keep up with you.
What helped the Texans remain in this game, as you mentioned in the not the crosstalk before the show, you were like, oh man, that's a game that came down to a single, a final drive, and it sure did. And one of the reasons why this game remained close against a team that was not good, Dak Prescott did not look comfortable. And I will go on my way. I will go on to say, like, Dak Prescott didn't look particularly great in this game either. But also, dudes were dropping the football, oddly enough. And I don't know what all played into that. There was a point in time where Dak was kind of just like, he was pumping a lot, which made me question, is he not trusting his eyes? And so those kind of all played in together. And then also, like, trying to force the ball into tough spaces at times wasn't helping either. a couple penalties defensively as well. And it was just a weird game all the way together. What happened was, again, the Texans were able to come out with a game plan that was just odd enough to make the good, the really good side of your team, the defense, take them off their game. The offense wasn't on their game, and it came down to very late in the game, making something happen, 27-23. All right, now let's get to the fun game. And I do say that intentionally. Week 16, welcoming in the Philadelphia Eagles in. This was a fun game, point blank period.
It was. We were disappointed, though, because we found out, of course, that Jalen Hurts was not going to be playing.
What up, Gardner Minshew?
Yeah, it was the Gardner Minshew show for the Philadelphia Eagles that day.
And early on, Gardner Minshew got to get in his game because Trey Diggs got by a double move. I know that's surprising to hear. Early, A.J. Brown. Early. And I was like, I saw it and I was like, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. Because, this is the thing is there is a book on Trayvon Diggs. He's a very, very good cornerback. And you can get him with a double move.
You use that aggressiveness against him, yes.
And so I'm very interested in seeing how that progresses this season as he continues to work on his game. I mean, we've seen that through his career. He's a good cornerback, and he's getting better, right? We already understand that. And now he has the help of a mentor in Stephon Gilmore. I'm very intrigued to see how that level of aggressiveness, because you also don't want to neuter him from that level of aggressiveness. It's part of what makes him a good cornerback, but how does he hone on that and make it so that he's using that in the opportune times and not getting got by instances like that? Because that's a big thing right there, is to just be able to give up big plays like that. Dak Prescott looked good in this game. And one of the things that he also did, he was willing to run.
Yes.
And it's something I actually talked about recently with the Trey Lance trade. There was a point in time where somebody, I can't even remember who, was like, I think it was McCarthy talking about Trey Lance does some of the things that your quarterback does, right? I guess similar offense type things. And I was like, hold on. Are we talking about the running? Because Dak actually doesn't do that as much anymore. And so the instances when he does, again, talking about changing the math, it's so useful. And I understand some of it, he has an injury history that he has to try and watch out for himself, and he doesn't do it as well as he once did. But still, utilizing it from time to time, making defenses, putting it front of mind for them that, oh yeah, that's a thing that can happen. It changes the way that the game is played. You could see it.
It's one of those elements that when we look at Dak Prescott's game and when he is at his best, he is utilizing his legs. He's able to be judicious in when he chooses to run. And he's able to extend drives and make things happen for this offense. And you want to see some more of that because he is capable of doing that. Obviously, the fear of him having dealt with that ankle injury, from a couple years ago, making sure that he's getting down when he needs to. But yeah, I love Dak Prescott when he's utilizing his legs and running around. It makes his offense that much better.
What I didn't love was just an easy pick six off of Dak Prescott, where he has Dalton Schultz booty butt naked open on a play action boot. And he just does not get it over the defensive end. Sweat. And it's dude,
yeah, I remember that interception.
What are you doing?
Didn't he take that back to the house for a touchdown?
Pick six.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And it's no, those are the interceptions. We could talk about the ones that bounce off of people's hands. Those are the ones that you got to own, man.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you simply cannot have at a high level if you want to win a Super Bowl. Point blank, period. Especially against a team this good. There was very little between these two teams. And considering Gardner Minshew was the quarterback, those are the types of things that put you into precarious situations that he needed to be better on. Now you ended up later in the game and other times in the game where off schedule, Dak Prescott looked incredible, right? Scramble drill, finding his guys, he looked incredible. But of course, that is, I don't want to say it's negated, but there's a little bit of a damper when you can look back at such a comical interception in a game like that. Outside of that, let's talk about Gardner Minshew for a second. That dude, I never realized how slow his passes go. And Jaron Kearse was able to intercept him at one point because of this. I think there might have been another interception in there as well because of it. Because Jaron Kearse was getting boxed out by Goddard, Dallas Goddard.
Mm-hmm.
And the pass, it was a 7-yard just kind of little toss there. Kearse was able to get around Goddard and pick the ball just because that ball got in there so slow. And so that was really nice. But the tough thing about it is because of the pressure wasn't getting in there as easily because, again, Philadelphia has a good offense or a good offensive line. There's a lot of times where, obviously you mix it up. There's a lot of times where zone was happening, where he was just able to pick his pass, get the ball in there, and just guys in a good zone able to make get a lot of yards. But again, a tough teams that you were playing against. At one point, what up, Eugene? You remember that Eugene T.Y. Hilton? was in this game.
That was what, 3rd and 30?
3rd and 30. And that was that was 2 plays where it was just like you were doing a terrible job of blocking, and they were pinning their ears back and getting downhill, and Dak Prescott was just getting dropped. And then just chuck it up there, right?
That was his first catch as a Dallas Cowboy.
5-man blitz. One of those plays, I think it was like the 2nd down sack. He had like safety valves, both I believe Schultz and Zeke leak out. So you just have 5-on-5 with the blitzers and your 5 linemen. And it's like you could turn and get those out to those guys. And even then, I was like, I'm actually not sure he would have been able to execute those passes because of how quickly the defensive line got in there. But again, Eugene Hilton. Now, that wasn't the only play that he made. Like, he made that big one. There was another one he made where he kind of created with like the savvy vet. He was able to create a penalty.
Call. Yep.
And just the speed, that speed to get a 3rd and 30. I'm like, is that what we're going to see with Brandon Cooks? I'm really intrigued to see how that, because again, last season you did not have any of that. In fact, even after this game, you didn't see a lot of that from the Cowboys. And so, like, that speed element, I'm so excited to see what that does for the Cowboys offense.
Yeah, not only will I think you see it, but you'll see it, I think, at a more efficient level and a more devastating level with Brandon Cooks, because his route running, his ability to get in and out of breaks, the quickness at which he does it with, and obviously the production that comes with Brandon Cooks, you're going to have a lot of fun watching him get after opposing defenses with his savviness, his route running, his IQ as a football player, and how productive he's been with utilizing that IQ throughout his career. Yeah, man, Brandon Cooks is going to be a lot of fun. And it's the other point about you bringing up T.Y. Hilton. Just think about where this team was. As good as they were a year ago, they were having to look for wide receiver help in the form of T.Y. Hilton because of the lack of depth that they had.
Week 15, 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going into a playoff run, you were having to try to find some wide receiver help, because remember the whole flirtation with Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, I remember.
And all that last year as well.
A couple more things I'd like to talk about. There was a point in the game where, like, there was a screenplay and Anthony Barr was on top of it. And it made me look up and go, everybody was up their play. The whole defense. Because everyone was, like, very alert. It just felt like it was a high importance game and everybody was playing at a high level. And, of course, that's great. And I wonder, like, is it possible for a team to maintain that level of intensity throughout the entirety of a season? Is that too much to ask for? Because, like, again, asking for a high level of intensity is one thing and it's cool, but like saying that and doing that are different things. There's a level of stress that comes with, and I wonder if that's something that you can ask. Also, Jonathan Hankins didn't like have flash plays, but his impact was felt in this game. Does that make sense?
I agree with that. Yes. Look, he is doing the thing that we want to see Mazi Smith do. Take up the middle, free things up for these guys to be able to get downhill and make plays.
And they didn't get into Minshew's kitchen a ton, but like also this is a team that ran the ball pretty well. And they ran the ball decently against the Cowboys, but they weren't gashing the Cowboys. And I felt like that's what Jonathan Hankins for, right? To make it just that little bit more difficult, where a good team running the football does not have free reign against this Dallas Cowboys defense.
And again, you want to see some more of that this upcoming season with Mazi Smith and Jonathan Hankins, more so with Hankins obviously being the mentor for Smith, in the middle there, how they get after opposing offenses in terms of running the football, because this team has been built to take on the San Francisco 49ers of the world, Philadelphia Eagles of the world, and what that physicality looks like and how they'll have to be more consistent with that through this upcoming season, defending teams against the run in that way.
3 for 108 and a touchdown in the first half was CeeDee Lamb's stats. CeeDee Lamb
baller
was here. In fact, I need to pull back up that to give you the full, like, after the entirety of the game, in every which way. Getting the ball out to him quick, let him go. Getting the ball to him down the field on a crosser, getting the ball to him on a go. Like, he was doing everything, and he was terrorizing one of the best teams in the league last year. CeeDee Lamb was a full bona fide wide receiver one last year, and all it takes is, like, for everybody to recognize it at this point.
That was one of the more fun parts of last year. CeeDee Lamb's growth and becoming that number one guy, and you mentioned in the first half, I mean, he's a baller. Like, at that point, we are fully in on the CeeDee Lamb number one wide receiver for this Cowboys team and being one of the top 10 receivers in the NFL. Just another evidence of that in that particular football game there.
An incredibly fun game to watch.
It was.
And I don't want to invoke what happens if the starter's playing, because I know Eagles fans have talked about it a lot.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear that.
You could have had a more polished game, but like still, I think it says a lot that you played a game where it wasn't the most polished game for you, and you put up 40 points, had 115 on the ground on 3.7 yards carry, and CeeDee Lamb, 10 receptions, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And I think more importantly, at that point in the season, you're trying to find a way to win games. I don't care who it's against, what team it's against. You're trying to win games because at that point, you're trying to still potentially fight for, a top 3 seed, in the NFC based on what could have happened to Philadelphia at that point.
One more thing I remember, because I was looking at the box score and thankful I looked at it. Obviously, there was that. Michael Gallup had a little bit of fun, but Jake Ferguson, I think I recalled something. I saw something that reminded me of when I was like, all right, I'm in on the Jake Ferguson thing. It's one of those just kind of short routes, maybe like 4 or 5 yards, gets the ball facing the quarterback, plants and gets upfield quickly. And I was like, that's something he does so well, right? We've seen for a long time with these Cowboys, them having tight ends that kind of catch the ball in that position where they're facing the quarterback, sit down, catch it, and that's basically all they get. Or maybe they start trying to turn and they get a couple more. Jake Ferguson is a guy where you can get the ball to him in space and expect him to turn and get some yak. And I'm so excited to see him have free reign when it comes to being a tight end, because it's very clear that it's like, hey, man, you're there. Peyton Hendershot's your backup. Luke Schoonmaker's going to have some opportunities, but it feels like it's Jake Ferguson's room in that way. And I'm so excited to see what happens there, because he's shown to be athletic. He's shown to be quick in getting the ball and getting upfield. I'm really interested in seeing what Jake Ferguson can do in this offense.
Fun rewatch there from weeks 14 and 16 for the Dallas Cowboys, and a couple of wins there as they were going down the stretch of last season. Looking forward to concluding
the regular season
tomorrow when we're live from 7 to 11 here on 105 through the Fan. Unfortunately, the good guys go down today in the final game of the 3-game series with the New York Mets. They have the day off tomorrow before they return to Globe Life Field to begin a 3-game series with the Minnesota Twins, of course, right here on your home of the Rangers, 105 through the Fan. But coming up next, Mr. Medford,
we have the question of the day for AM on the FM, and this former NFL quarterback is bored. Very bored. I'll tell you how next.
It's the dog days of summer. That's what we call it in baseball. Maybe you are having some dog days when it
TextDot.org to sign up for a free car seat inspection near you.
Brought to you by TextDot.
I see what you're doing there, Medford. I like what you're doing there. It's the Get Right with Reggie KG right here on 105 through the fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula. Alec Medford holding it down for you here. A little EO Sky, if you will, here on the Get Right. So happy for her, by the way. Yeah. By the way, real quick before we get into AM on the FM.
Dorks.
Rate Mrs. LA Knight impersonation.
14 out of 10. It was so good.
Don't do that.
It was so good. It was.
I'm going to pull an MJF on you. Mid!
It was great.
Mid.
It was great. Had me full.
Let me talk to you straight. Yeah. Yeah. He couldn't put a whole promo together. Whatever.
That was the point.
I guess so. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Reg on Twitter at Reg Atatula. Alec on the radio. And I think it's time for this.
What does this button do? Please, please, do not push the button. You have no idea what it...
Reality can be whatever I want. Don't you dare touch that dial.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've played my own intro that I had to like triple take it as I hit the space bar to make sure I actually pulled up the right thing. Because if you're a true Tolo, you remember back when the nosebleed seats were on nights, we had 60 seconds of trash radio. I almost accidentally played that intro instead.
60 seconds of trash radio.
Yeah, that would have been a little awkward. But it's AM on the FM.
Love you, Zero.
Right here on 105 through the fan. Rest in peace.
What? Did you just kill Zero?
Radio wise, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, look, man, he's still very much alive, and you know what he can do? Kick your keister.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know which martial art he's doing, but he's doing one of the martial arts.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I believe he will be able to whoop your behind, brother.
To that, I say.
Yeah.
I'm going to abuse that drop now that I finally have it saved. So the way we do this segment, if you are unfamiliar with the weekend programming here on 105 Through the Fan, which you should check out each and every weekend as we are live and local here on DFW Sports Station 105 Through the Fan. AM on the FM entails a question of the day and just some totally random chaos after. So the question of the day is going to be in honor of the late Bob Barker.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in peace. Spay and neuter your pets.
99 years of age, yeah.
What national game show do you think you would have the best chance of winning? 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. Let us know on the truckwreck.com text line, twitch.tv/DallasFanCam. What do you think?
Oh, boy. First of all, there's a lot of them. By the way, I love what y'all was doing the other day on the whole Who Wants to Be a Millionaire thing on the KNC Master.
Oh yeah, most likely. That was
that was great.
That was a Corey thing. He was just I don't know what came to mind or what made him do that, but
that was great.
Yeah.
Which one? I would probably. So it doesn't have to be an individual game.
No. Just any of the big ones that you would see on random TV programming.
Me and my family would cook at Family Feud. But the one I've always wanted to play, the 972 names it actually. Deal or No Deal.
Yeah. I used to play that arcade game like at Dave & Buster's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Howie Mandel would love to do the Deal or No Deal version with Howie Mandel. I think I'd be pretty good at that one.
Yeah, I'm out on Deal or No Deal.
What?
I don't want that game. It's one, it's a lot of stress, which feels unnecessary. And two, it's just like there's very little based on like strategy and such, in my opinion.
It's a lot of
a lot of like just
chance
up here, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the games where I could put my brain to work.
You're
so things like, hey, I'm not that. Look, there's a lot of times. Can I just do this real quick? There's a lot of times on this station where people are like, oh, Reggie is so smart, and I don't do that to like pump myself up because quite literally, I'm like, no, I'm not that smart. I'm really not. So like, you put me on Jeopardy, I will look stupid, and I'm not here to do that. I'm not trying to do that. But like. Something like shout out to the 817 $100,000 pyramid.
Oh,
that's a good game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like or some. I mean, just password in general is a good look. Yeah, stuff like that. So That came to mind. I'm trying to think. What were the other ones?
I think I'd be pretty good on Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Fortune, yeah. Wheel of Fortune, solid.
Wheel of Fortune would be pretty
I could
good.
do that.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Have you ever played Chain Reaction or seen Chain Reaction?
I have seen Chain Reaction. I don't get it.
You don't get the concept of the game.
I don't get it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So the idea is that there's a
Like,
word.
explain it to me if I was 5.
There's a word on top.
Ophthalmologist?
Don't do that.
There's a word at the very top. There's a word at the very bottom, and you have to get from the top word to the bottom word through a chain of other words.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say the top word is house, and the bottom word is slippers. So you have to go like house, cat. I don't know. I'm trying to think what other.
But the other words in the middle don't have anything to do. They do have something to do with the top one.
They are related to the word next to it.
Oh, okay.
So like each of those are 2-word phrases that mean something individually, and they all connect and link to the next thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it now. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get the concept of it. It looked like it was fun, but I didn't get it.
See, from the 860, are we counting the shows like Big Brother, Amazing Race, Survivor,
Amazing Race
etc.?
is a one that I love watching that I'm like, I think I'd be all right at it, but I feel like I'd also hate my life doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All these random challenges that you got to do.
Absolutely. And I'll count those like these national, like if there's a prize at the end, sure, we'll count it.
Hollywood Squares is a good one.
Because
Hollywood Squares is a good one.
That is a good one. I feel like.
You know what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he was born around. Being around.
In fact,
don't do that.
There was like two or three iterations of Hollywood Squares that you were not old enough for.
Exactly. That's what I was
Funny
like. You know what that is?
I just watch a lot of reruns coming home from school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Touche.
Because every time I came home from school, my mom was either cooking or cleaning, and she had to have some sort of game show on. So
a little background
a lot,
noise.
yeah, a lot of Wheel of Fortune, a lot of Family Feud. There was a lot of that stuff going on. So yeah, I've seen a lot of
It's not
these.
a bad one. It's just I got to depend on too many other people.
Yeah, that's why I like the chaos of it. So I would probably choose that. But if we're going to go a lot more skill-based, something I wanted to do forever and to this day.
Legends of the Temple.
To this day. American Ninja Warrior. I have always wanted to do that.
No. I need the
Always
less
wanted
severe
to.
version of that. Because, like, look, the people on there actually trained for years, and
If I need to do physical activity to go out here and win money, then yeah, I'm out.
well, I'll do some physical activity.
No.
I'm not doing like
No.
the high level, like D1 athlete physical
Athletic
activity.
skill? No.
Like,
No.
put me on Nickelodeon Guts. You know what I mean? That kind of physical activity is what I'm talking about.
See, my dad and I, we used to binge watch American Ninja Warrior
You get an
together.
excuse to do that, by the way.
And
do you have it?
Guts.
For a good 3-4 year period, I actually did gymnastics and stuff like that. So
Welcome to Extreme Arena.
I
this
do love,
is Global Guts. Oh, my bad.
what have I created?
I do love that you did gymnastics because it does fit your physique. You know?
Yeah, and that, see, at a pretty early age, you kind of realize, okay, I might not get much bigger than this. So, like, what's something that kind of fits the physique? And my dad was like, you could really try that because you've got the build for it. You just need to keep gaining on it. I think it was like 10, 11 years old I started gymnastics and ended up...
That's late.
Yeah, I went from that. I mean, I ended up getting the strength to do it, but I got kind of bored, so I went into like MMA and like martial arts and stuff.
Nice.
And I got kind of bored of that, and I just started running in straight lines. And yeah,
I'm surprised neither one of you said, especially you, Price is Right.
Yeah, I actually would not want to be on The Price is Right.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How come?
It's just like a variety of different games that you got to be good at. Oh, 817. Now you talking about language. Press your luck.
Press your luck.
See, I didn't want to get too nerdy on you because I will go through the Game Show Network catalog. Like one thing, I don't want to be a contestant on, but I would love to be like one of the celebrities on Match Game.
Oh,
that just seemed like a fun time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too nerdy. There's a lot of those.
I wouldn't mind hanging out with Elizabeth Banks. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, she's the new one.
Yeah,
hosting that.
You know who I wouldn't mind hanging out with, guys? Blake Bortles, former NFL quarterback, played for the Jaguars in their playoff run, spent some time in LA, New Orleans, etc. Made almost $50 million in career earnings. Good for him. Well, he's bored in retirement. He's really bored. So bored that he relayed to Barstool Sports. Gross, indeed, but still. He texted someone over there and said that he got so bored in retirement that he was getting a new house built, right?
Okay.
He asked in the early stages of development of this house, if he could just help. If he could actually start helping build this house for free.
All right.
So he's paying for this house to be built, and he is actually going out there each day and helping build the house. He is that bored in retirement.
Nah, you could get a hobby.
Yeah, you can get a hobby. Go coach some kids.
Look, there's a lot of things you could learn, but you know what? I guess that's
Go
my
read a
perspective.
book.
I can't put my perspective. Some people don't like learning like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's like a pottery class or something you could go do or whatever.
Go travel.
That being said,
got money.
I feel like I can't really knock on him too hard because like I was a person where I used to work at a pizza shop, and when I went back, every once in a while I'd be like, hey, can I go make my own pizza? And they would let me because it was a real chill spot. It's late. Leave me alone. And so I would go make my own pizza that I was paying for. That's not smart.
Yeah, that's hustling backwards, Red.
Yeah.
I didn't think you'd be into that kind of hustle backwards like that.
But you know what? Have you made your own pizza before?
I have.
It's cathartic.
It is.
Especially if you like doing it for real, you know, the whole toss and everything.
But the experience of being like, you know, at my home doing it versus like going back to a place where I worked at.
Yeah, but they have a industrial kitchen. Like I got the real pizza oven. I got all that. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Last thing here, because this is just weird. Sure. Do you guys get down with the pumpkin spice
supermarket
stuff?
sweep?
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one. That's good.
There's another one.
No, I don't do the pumpkin spice
pumpkin spice latte. You talking about?
Yeah, like the scents, the flavors, all of it, because you know it's a massive thing right about now. I'm starting to see
fall,
it.
Yeah,
starting to see it pop out already. Starbucks did their big drop this week. You get down with that, KG?
My wife does. She's a big Starbucks person.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my problem. Is I'm not a big Starbucks person, and if the closest thing I might get is to candles. And I feel like I have scents with candles that steer away from those particular scents.
I just don't get the craze around it.
I don't either.
That's the part that I don't get.
It seems to me that everybody and their mother is making pumpkin spice related products now.
Sure.
Including, as of this year, Dude Wipes. The company that makes bathroom wipes for men.
Well, that's the thing is like, why would they not? They're already getting you on the first scam. Why not add another one on top?
Jeez.
No, not G's. If you feel so insecure about your man booty that you're like, I can't get normal wet wipes from Cottonelle. I have to get ones that specifically are branded for dudes.
Please
and pay an upsell on them. Yeah, no, I get it. You're definitely a sucker enough to be like pumpkin swipe wipes.
I will say, I will say that the marketing is great.
Is it?
They're called Dumpkin Spice.
Sure.
And it says
right.
made with it says made with clove, nutmeg, and other fall bleep.
Keep
and other
clove
fall bleep
and nutmeg and other fall bleep away from my butt. Sorry.
Yep, mark that.
Let's do that.
Thank you, Reggie, and that's how we do AM on the FM.
Look, I'll stand by that statement. Keep all those things away from my butt.
I mean, Cottonelle works fine.
Works great, in fact. Yeah.
It's the final call. Next on the Get Right.
For 20 years, Kelly Vick suffered from chronic back pain.
Now, would do something. that one pill contained a lethal dose of fentanyl.
Visit onepillkillstx.com. Sponsored by HHSC.
Final time here on the Get Right for Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula.
Hello.
Appreciate the hard work of my man Alec Medford on this Wednesday night. Appreciate you, sir. You can find us on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Atatula, at Alec on the radio. If you missed anything during our couple of hours here, you can hit the rewind button on the Odyssey app, or you can go to 105throughthefan.com and hit the Get Right podcast page and listen to any episode, any segment, anytime on demand. Reg and I will be back tomorrow with you from 7 to 11 p.m. The good guys have the day off as they get ready for a homestand that begins on Friday when they welcome in the Minnesota Twins. So the Texas Rangers are fortunately falling tonight in Game 3 of their 3-game series with the New York Mets. Take 2 of 3 from the Metropolitans, but at the same time, could have used the clean sweep as they are a game behind both the Astros and Mariners for first place in the AL West. You will hear from, or you will be able to hear all of our shows tomorrow. Sean and RJ get you kicked off with Bobby Bell tomorrow morning beginning at 5:30 a.m. Medford, it is the final call here before we get out of here on this Wednesday night.
Did you see in the National Basketball Association that Eric Lewis, referee in the NBA,
I did see
simply decided to retire? Now, why is that notable? Eric Lewis was under investigation for like some social media situation because obviously the NBA has ended their investigation because he just decided to retire. But supposedly, people found that there was an account that seemed to be Lewis's burner using the name Blair Cutcliffe that was doing a lot of defense of Eric Lewis and other NBA officials on Twitter.
Oh man, let me tell you something. You can't be doing anything nefarious or even have the look.
Is this even nefarious?
Just the idea.
Was he just so embarrassed that people found out? I was like, hey man, why are you out here on a burner defending your actions?
The internet sleuths out here
to the internet of all people.
Wild, man. But yeah, my man's out here got a burner account. It's like, yep. I'm about to go ahead and get out the paint.
And the just sheer embarrassment from that being outed and the NBA actually looking into it. He was just like, you know what? I'll just take it to the crib. It's cool.
Wasn't this particular to Boston too, by the way?
I don't recall that portion of it.
Okay. I thought it was particular toward Boston, but whatever. Well, hope Mr. Lewis enjoys retirement.
Also, something else that happened tonight.
Oh,
MLS. It's an MLS match day for anybody that cares and anybody that doesn't. And at a match, Inter Miami was playing. There was a very interesting sports photographer at this game. KG, I'm gonna show you a picture of this gentleman. Do you know this gentleman right here?
Bro, that's King Griffey Jr.
That's right. He was snapping pictures. He was snapping sports photographs at an MLS match tonight.
What's with ex-Seattle Mariners
That's
being
right.
photographers? Because isn't Randy Johnson
That's right. He sure does.
a photographer now as
he
well?
He sure is, yeah.
Oh, wow. Must be, all right. That's cool. So shout out to King Griffey Jr., man. Living his best life. Taking photographs. By the way, Inter Miami tied with, was it Nashville?
Yes, I believe that's. I imagine that moves them up the table a little bit. Not that
as long as they don't lose. As long as they don't lose games, they can win and draw.
If they can add points because they were shaking up the joint in MLS. Now they probably do need to win matches.
They probably should win, yes.
Because they were at the very bottom of the table and they're really trying to climb into the playoffs. But yeah, no, MLS, Inter Miami needs to do. They need more of that Messi magic if they want to get up to the playoffs.
This comes from Variety. Y'all see this headline?
I did not.
Warner Brothers Discovery will test out CNN news alerts while Max viewers are watching TV shows and movies on the platform.
I did see this actually.
What?
Yeah, the question. That's the question is why?
Why?
Yeah.
If anything, that's the last thing I'm trying to see while trying to enjoy like my favorite TV show or movie. Like, I don't need, if I want to go check out the news, I can go to the CNN app or just, turn on the TV.
This sounds like it came straight from the brain of CEO David Zaslav, because under his tenure, they have done nothing but idiocy. Warner Brothers Discovery. And that just take this as a reminder. Just because people have more important positions than you, just because they make a lot more money than you, does not mean they are smarter than you.
Now, wait a minute. So Warner Brothers Discovery plans to unveil a 24/7 live stream news service called CNN Max on September 27 and indicated the outlet would focus on initially breaking news.
Is that not what CNN is?
Yeah.
Or at least was at some point. Or, do they still have the headline news channel? Because wasn't that what that was at some point? I
think they still
like,
do.
What do we do? They're like, you know what? This feels like the Tech Bro thing where they like reinvent stuff that already exists. They're like, what if we have an Uber?
It's just called
groundbreaking.
But it picks up a whole bunch of different people and it stops regularly at certain places. Like, dude, did you just invent a bus? Is that what you just did? That's what it feels like they're doing. Like, hey, what if we do this channel where anytime you want to find out what's happening, you go there and it's there. It's like, dude, we've had news networks forever.
The funny part about all this, like, they're kind of like trying this again, because I had forgotten about this, but as I'm reading it, I remembered it now.
CNN Plus?
Yeah.
Well, CNN Plus wasn't even like the news network portion of it. CNN Plus was like, hey, there's a lot of CNN type programming that we're going to keep in the same place. I was like, actually, they killed it damn near as quick as it started.
They did.
And so what? They're just going to spin the block now? Is that what we're doing?
It looks like it. Oh boy. Yeah, that's
Again, remember, just because these people have the positions and the power and the money does not mean that they're actually smarter than you.
I already need a new drop, KG. Dummy.
Yeah. Good luck with that, I guess. CNN. But yeah, I don't want news alerts.
Why you watching Winning Time?
I'm trying to escape reality when I'm watching sci-fi films and stuff, not embrace it.
Or before they cancel it, game theory.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, it has been canceled.
I know, I'm just saying.
Well, and knowing Warner Brothers Discovery, they're going to take it off the platform so they can get a tax write-off, because that's how they work. Watch while you can.
Watch while you can.
Speaking of watch while you can, watch BS High on Max, though. Incredible documentary.
Oh, okay.
It's on the Bishop Sycamore situation.
Hey, that cat is a psychopath.
Yes, Roy Johnson, the coach, founder, whatever, of what ultimately became Bishop Sycamore.
Right, he had a clip out there. I saw a clip the other day where he was talking about, what his mom had told him about, I forget what the exact.
Yeah, that was at near the end of the documentary. Woo! And he quite literally, you used the right word, he looked like a psychopath.
I was like, this cat is delusional as hell.
Yes, 817. Kamala Harris updates during Batman does not sound appealing.
Correct.
That's correct. But But the thing that I found so great about this, and I still encourage everyone to watch it, right? Obviously, you could see the ways that like this dude in particular failed these children, for one, and two, like just like the narcissism and all those things that were required, the selfishness that was required for this to end up in the place that it did, where ultimately he's got, kids and young people playing against IMG Academy that are just simply not equipped to do that. The documentary did such a great job at being a good documentary in a time where there's so many of these PR quote unquote documentaries out here that are doing nothing but appeasing the subjects that are in the documentary. This one did a great job of, one, telling a good story here, but then two, also then having a bigger indictment of just like, hey, this particular character, Roy Johnson, is a bad dude or whatever. It also then examines the idea of, hey man, all of these prep sports, who are the people that are enriching themselves off of them? Because Roy Johnson ain't the only one. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a fascinating look at BS High. So definitely, I don't want to call it a must watch, because who am I to tell you that you must watch anything? But it was a very good watch, and I would recommend it highly.
Congratulations are in order for Josina Anderson. The NFL insider for CBS Sports apparently is going to be joining the cast of the revamped Undisputed.
Are they ever going to have all of them on at the same time?
That would be one hell of a show.
Because who all have they tapped to this? Obviously, they have the four that are on right now. Clearly, Skip Bayless. They got Michael Irvin. They got Keyshawn. They have Richard Sherman. They've also have Rachel Nichols on deck, which I imagine happens during basketball season.
That's right.
And then you mentioned Josina. That'd be a weird script. And also mentioning Rachel Nichols just reminded me, They really started their first show on, what was it? August 28th? Was it Monday?
Monday.
August 28th. Well before training camp or anything is happening in the NBA, is talking about LeBron James?
Come on, man. You know that Skip's, jam.
Have some shame.
As if that will ever reside with Skip Bayless. Also, and the other contributors will be Nick Wright, they're LaShawn McCoy, and Emmanuel Acho, your personal favorite.
No comment. No comment.
I don't get what they're doing with the show. Like, I will say now, Michael Irvin was cooking on day one. Like, Michael was being, as you said, perform. Like, Michael is performing.
He's a performer.
He was doing what he did.
That is the son of a preacher who got all of those genes. He got all of those genes. Yeah, no, he is a performer.
My favorite part was watching Keyshawn, Richard Sherman, and Michael Irvin box out Skip Bayless on his own show and render him a moderator on his own show.
The thing that was incredible to me about that particular point is that he was not in on it. Like, there was a point where he verbalized that frustration, and I was like, "Oh, this was not the plan."
No!
He is legitimately frustrated on air right now. They're gonna need to figure it out. Like, I think expecting them to have it all figured out on day one or week one is kind of absurd. It'll kind of normalize to what it ultimately is later, and I'll leave that to other people to decide if that's something that they find good or bad, because I won't be watching it. But I was never going to watch it. I was never the intended audience.
I did want to watch day one just to see the idea of, one, Michael Irvin being back on television after,
stuff.
Things. Yeah. But then how all that would ultimately work out. But yeah, Skip Bayless getting boxed out on his own show is quite hilarious at this point. Appreciate the hard work again of my man Alec Medford on this Wednesday night. Long day for him. He has been crushing it all day. Appreciate you, sir. My man Reginald Atatula will be back tomorrow with you from 7 to 11 p.m. here on the Get Right to conclude your Thursday night. So look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow evening here on 105 through the Fan. For Medford, my partner Reginald Atatula, my name is Kevin Gray. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later.
Be easy. Peace.
If you're someone that's always struggled to lose weight consistently and keep that weight off, I know from experience just how easy it is to pack on those unwanted pounds, and I don't know